Hello, this video is to explain your Bill of Rights project. In this project, the idea is to rank the amendments. You're picking three that you feel are most important out of the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Um, you have to be able to explain what that amendment is about in your own words, so not just copy and paste from the internet, like what Amendment 1 is, let's say, for example. Just explain it in your own words the best that you can. Um, Explain why you think it's actually important and give us a real example of this. And notice that there are sentence starters here. So it says like amendment number blank is about, and that's how you could start it if you want. And then you would say like this amendment is important because, for example, so actually explain why it's important, and give us some examples. The most common mistake that students will make is, for example, they'll list amendment number one, like amendment number one is important because it has freedom of speech. And then when they're explaining why it's important, they just say that it is important and they don't explain why it's important. And so some student who would not get credit would say, like, it's important because freedom of speech is important. Like, that doesn't actually explain why you think it's important. So please do make sure you have a full explanation as to why something is important. And then include a picture example of the amendment. Now, keep in mind that there are some amendments that have several parts to them. Like amendment number one has 5 freedoms listed there. And so you need to make sure that you cover all of the 5 freedoms that are listed there. Okay. And like when you're explaining why it's important, you don't have to explain why all 5 parts are important. You can just include the parts that are important to you. But when you are explaining the amendment, you do need to explain all of the parts that are part of that amendment. And as a reminder, you have your SKYS cards with the descriptions of all of the amendments and with like questions and examples. There's videos there for you, including the Brain Pop video, which is also linked on this project document. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're paraphrasing, that you kind of explain in your own words what it's about. Um, uh, and all of the amendments are included here. Now, also, there is a link to the slideshow for the Bill of Rights. And within that slideshow, every single one of the amendments has videos linked in. And, of course, there's like extra videos in there, but specific to each one of the amendments, there's videos, there's extra examples for you guys. Um, and so you're going to want to, if you don't know where to start and you're just like starting at the point where like, okay, well, let me learn more about the amendments before I pick which 3 I find most important, then start taking a look through the videos that explain what all of these amendments are about. And they are live linked, so you'll see that it's like blue and underlined. That's how you know it's a live link and that those are the extra videos for you. Okay, we want to show you some examples from the past. Let's start with this one. So in this project, this student clearly needs to do some editing. You see how there's all of these words that are like underlined in blue. We want you to practice editing. We want you to practice reading out loud to yourself and seeing like, does it make sense? Am I actually answering the question and explaining why it's important? Did I check it for spelling? Am I writing in complete sentences? Those are the things you're looking for when you're editing. Okay. And so this person, like, I mean, they had generally the right idea. It just needs a lot more editing and more details and examples, like, and more of an explanation on why they felt that amendment was important. But definitely more editing on that one. Okay, taking a look at this example, this one is clearly like a copy and paste from the internet. This student doesn't talk like this. And I'll just give you an example. The Second Amendment was meant to help the people protect themselves from a tyrannical government, just like the revolutionaries who fought against the King of England. They wanted to maintain the right to bear arms in case the new government began to take away their rights. And it goes on and on. This was a kind of a copy and paste from the internet. Now, some of it is the students writing, and some of it's clearly copy and pasted. Like this is clearly copy and pasted. And so is this as well. So it's not the students writing, they don't get credit for that. And they didn't put the amendment in their own words, so they don't get credit for that. So this student actually got a really low score. While it looks like a lot of information, the score was really low because it's not their words. Like, it doesn't actually tell me the amendment in their own words or why they think it's important, and giving us actual examples, like real life examples. Only the pictures would show uh, what what the amendment is about, and really only the first two pictures. So it's like 5 points out of 35. It's not a good score. Okay, and then taking a look at a student who did get a good score on the project, we have the student was explaining the amendment in their own words. They explained why it's important, and they gave us an actual example. There are some things that could be edited, but overall, you see how like there's not a bunch underlined in like blue or red. And when you click on something, by the way, it does give you suggestions. See this one? It just suggested a comma. That's like not too big of a deal. And the student gave us examples in pictures and in words. So you definitely need to include like real examples, why you think it's important, and explaining like generally what that amendment is about, more like in your own words. So it shouldn't be the exact same words that are in the Constitution, just more like how you would explain it to a family member, let's say, or a classmate who asks, like, what's the Eighth Amendment about? Like, oh, well, it's about like punishments and like how they can't be excessive or cruel or unusual. Just again, more your own words and not just a copy paste from the internet. Okay. So those are some examples. The rubric, let me click on here. The rubric is linked on your project document, and it's basically just going over that you have three amendments that are you described in your own words accurately. They have to be accurate descriptions. Um, and you included three explanations of like why it's actually important, along with the examples of why it's important, or like examples of the amendment in words and pictures. And so if you're not describing it accurately, it kind of goes down in the scale. Like, you only described two accurately, you only described one accurately, none of them were described accurately, or it's all plagiarized from the internet. Um, and again, you get like 5 points overall for just like basic editing. If you have a question, you can email us. Otherwise, that's it for the project. Um, let's take a look. So you're going to see this has links for everything, including the rubric. Email us if you have questions.